Even in this first scene, we see the nuanced performance, with Faith talking to Joyce. For the purposes of this review, things can get a bit confusing when body swaps happen. So, for the remainder of this, we'll discuss who the character is, not what body they're in. Faith doesn't do a particularly convincing job, but there was no indication of magic, so Joyce just considers it a result of the fight. Faith makes an off-color prison rape joke, but it fits with the character, and it's not meant to be funny. While Faith hides it well enough, it's clear she's hurt when Joyce refers to her as a raving psychotic. It was about a year ago that she was being invited to Christmas dinner, and there was an attempt at a relationship. Now she's been put into the same category of monster as the things that Buffy fights. The next scene involves Faith exploring her new body. The trope of body swaps is fairly common in fantasy and sci-fi shows, but rarely do they get into the implications. It's inherently a violation of self. Faith has literally taken Buffy's body and claimed it for her own. Her scene in the bath demonstrates this totally, lovingly caressing her new parts. This also comes back to Faith's desire for Buffy last season, where now she can finally do whatever she wants. She then practices her impression of Buffy in the mirror, outlining a few key traits. That she's uptight, helps people, and is highly moral. The scene ends with her saying, "I'm going to kill you," to the theoretical villain. This shows Faith's belief that ultimately she and Buffy are both killers, that it's their lot in life. Death is their gift, a phrase that will recur frequently next season. Although the episode is focused on Faith, there is still development for Willow and Tara's relationship. Willow has sequestered Tara away, not telling her friends about their spells, even lying about where she's been. Tara is meek and accepting of this, but finally stands up for herself, bringing up that she is an invisible presence in Willow's life. Willow says that having her all to herself makes her special, but more than that, she's not ready to come out to her friends. Willow still has a few episodes to go before she's willing to admit to herself that she's gay. While they're finally taking another step, Faith is trying to flee, booking the first flight out of Sunnydale. Before that, however, she decides to have some fun in Buffy's life. She heads to a meeting of the Scoobies, where they declare resounding success in capturing Faith. And then Giles reveals that it's not the police that have her, but the Council's special task force. There have been hints before that the Council's morally grey activities, but this is the first time we see them. In a couple of episodes, they've transitioned from merely kidnapping to firing assault rifles at Buffy and other innocents, showing how little regard they have for her. While discussing affairs with the Scoobies, Faith imagines stabbing Willow, which shows both her personal dislike, but also reveals something deeper. She has a similar daydream about attacking Angel after he shelters her, which points to a pattern. She doesn't act on these violent impulses, but clearly deals with them frequently. These kind of thoughts often occur in those with trauma, although more often they imagine committing violence against themselves. Faith displays so many traits of a deeply traumatized young woman who never received the help she needed. Faith promises to go patrolling, but instead heads to the bronze, dancing wildly, enjoying Buffy's body to its fullest. While there she encounters Spike, and has one of the most iconic scenes of the episode, where she seduces him, telling him exactly what she could do to him, and then walking away claiming that it's wrong. While Spike certainly had an obsession with Buffy before, it does seem like this is a turning point, transitioning it to sexual desire. Willow and Tara also head to the bronze, where they accidentally bump into Faith. This wasn't a planned meeting, but Willow at least steps forward and introduces them. Faith recognizes the longing glances that Tara gives Willow, and somewhat crudely says that Willow is no longer driving stick. She's then cruel to Tara, talking about Willow's relationship to Oz. Tara is a witch though, so instead of a traditional sitcom plot, she immediately understands there is something wrong, and they figure out the body-switching spell. There still has to be a little bit of progress in the main plot for the season, so Adam gets himself a cabal of vampires, their first appearance in the show in about forever. While his sermon to them is a bit lacking, he brings up a good point. The vampires are arguably more obsessed with avoiding death than humans, because theoretically they live eternally, whereas humans have an expiry date. Faith then commits her worst act in Buffy's body upon realizing that Riley is expecting her. First she tries very overt seduction, the same kind she used on Spike. Riley, however, is not into it, more confused than turned on. She insists that he has some hidden desires, that he wants her to be a bad girl, but again Riley rejects it. Finally they have sex, with the scene switching back and forth between Willow and Tara's spell, drawing the obvious comparison. After it's over, Riley says that he loves her, and Faith freaks out. She cannot understand the concept of non-transactional love, asking him, "What do you want from me?" All of her physical and emotional relationships have been based around a trade. Even with the mayor, who she was closest with, he still demanded her to go out and do his bidding. Even his final will was a request to get revenge on Buffy. Riley, in his farm boy ways offering pure love and devotion, is foreign to her experience. When he puts a blanket on her, she flinches away, the simple act of kindness similar to a vampire's reaction to a cross. The next morning she flees from the frat house and Forrest confronts her, calling her a killer. Faith understandably reacts explosively, and then Forrest replies, "Do you really care what I think?" Faith is someone who pretends not to care as a defense mechanism, but really, she defines her life by what others think of her. When people call her a villain or psychotic, she acts out those fantasies, even if it's not what she wants to be. The same thing occurs at the end of the episode, as while she's at the airport, all set to leave, she hears about vampires attacking a church. She then decides to play the role of a hero. The dialogue while she confronts Riley is excellent, and really demonstrates Faith's views on herself and Buffy. In the meantime, the Scoobies have sorted out the spell nonsense, and Buffy also heads to the church. The fight itself could have been improved with a few more vampires, but thematically it works well enough that the specifics don't really matter. The chapel is a place of redemption, and it's where Faith goes to take a heroic action to make the world a better place. All of that falls away when she sees Buffy in her body, and they have a big fight. Faith's self-hatred explodes out as she screams at her own body that she's disgusting, murderous, and nothing. Just like in BoJack Horseman's Stupid Piece of Shit episode, this is a realistic depiction of depression, albeit in a more fantastical setting. Eventually Buffy uses the magic doohickey, and they swap back and Faith runs away again. The episode ends with a nice shot contrasting their two positions, as Riley says that she had her fun, and Buffy offers an ironic echo. These two episodes are fantastic, and develop both Slayer's characters while still having time for others in the cast. The story is not over, however, as the Parrot Angel episodes bring more closure, but also some story beats that don't work as well as those here. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Subscribe for more, and be well.